Hello everybody and welcome back to your IBS answer portal. Today's video, A104, we're going to discuss why you particularly develop irritable bowel syndrome or other inflammatory bowel diseases. Before we begin our discussion, I want to answer two questions that people had posed. One is, it's in alignment of the American thinking. Why isn't there a little pill that in a couple of days after I take it, I'll be cured and done? It's not a normal type of disease that you think of as one quick, easy solution. Second thing is, why hasn't something been discovered or developed to find a pill that will do it? The most important thing you have to understand is how we go about doing research on pharmaceuticals. The shocking news to you is the average drug can take up to $2 billion in cost and 10 years to develop. The average drug that a pharmaceutical company works on ends in failure 98% of the time. That means the cost involvement is huge for research and development. The approval process is lengthy, time-consuming, and extremely regulated, as the government has specific guidelines for the various phases in clinical trial drug studies. They first start in researching in animals, developing an idea what they want to research. Then after it proves efficacy in the animal, then they start human trials. And they go through phase 1, 2, and 3, and their sub-phase categories. So now you get the picture and you understand why. So why don't they do it for irritable bowel syndrome? Because it's money. To develop a drug, you're making an investment and hoping for a return. In terms of irritable bowel syndrome, there is no drug because there are so many varied issues here. And you're going to learn why. But the end result is, why do the research when we're not going to make money off of what we discover? And when you learn what I'm teaching you, you're not going to need to spend thousands of dollars for drug treatment to fix what is wrong with you. So those answers, though, are in reference to those two questions. Now, why do you develop IBS when someone else doesn't? I could go back to originally when polio epidemics occurred. You wouldn't know it, most of the population who's listening to me, but before Jonas Salk discovered the polio vaccine, people were petrified of polio epidemics. They didn't know how they contracted it. And the bottom line was, not everybody developed polio. Not only that not everybody developed polio, some people had mild cases. Some people developed such paralysis that they had to live in what they called an iron lung, where the breathing was done mechanically for them. So that'll give you an idea. Some people escaped entirely of ever having a polio infection. It has to do with your immune system. Immunity is your body's natural substances called antibodies that your body produces to fight infections, which are called antigens, which can be a virus, a bacteria, a fungus, or other anomaly. So now you understand. Then there's something called degree of virulence. That means how powerful and how infectious that virus or bacteria is, and what is your body's ability to fight it. That is why some people rarely ever get colds. Some people have 6 and 8 colds a year. Some people have repeated gastrointestinal infections. It is beyond the scope of this IBS answer portal for me to go into immunology and bacteriology, but just I want you to understand that it is your particular immune system and how your body reacted to a specific infection in your intestine. Good example for you to understand is when you get a very bad gastrointestinal infection, commonly what people call a stomach virus. It's really a gastrointestinal virus, more than likely occurring in your small intestine. Now you have to remember, your intestine is composed of that single layer of cells called enterocytes. Think of it as a glass covering over your intestines. The functioning of your small intestines is A, protection, because there's some pretty bad guys inside your intestines, to protect the rest of your body by preventing those bad bacteria or pathogens from passing through that single cell layer into your abdomen or stomach, if you want to call it. Also, it provides lubrication for the food to pass through, thick mucus layering over it, and I also explained to you it provides absorption of nutrients as your food is metabolized and broken down. So it's a very complex issue. However, I compare it to a building because that skin layer is like a glass covering around a building. There is a lattice work of iron that is beams that holds up the building. Your gastrointestinal layer, what is called the brush border, is constructed by your body in the same fashion. It's called a matrix, and that is like teepee-like structures. And those are the villi that suck the nutrients out of your food. What goes wrong? You get a bacterial infection. In later videos, I'm going to explain to you why you particularly have it. But in essence, your immune system goes into hyperdrive. Same way a type 1 diabetic develops diabetes. Their immune system went wild with a pancreatic infection. And their own body destroyed the beta cells, those guys inside the pancreas that make insulin. And that is called an autoimmune system. Very interesting thing about irritable bowel syndrome and ulcerative colitis. Those people who have that disorder, many of them also have other autoimmune disorders, such as eczema, psoriasis, lupus, various other autoimmune diseases where your body is not functioning normally. There are reasons why we develop this. I'll go into it later, but the key thing is that you understand what happens. My treatment protocol is to prevent the repetitive, destructive forces that go into the creation of irritable bowel syndrome. That means these pathogenic or disease-causing bacteria are working overtime, and your body is not functioning normally, and these bacteria are destroying those cells that line your small intestine. Interesting that you should know before we leave, the lining of your small intestines under normal conditions replaces itself every 2 to 5 days. That is a shedding process. If you take your arm right now and you brush your hand over it, thousands and thousands of cells, those skin cells, fall off. They're usually dead. Your skin is constantly replacing itself. Remember, Your small intestine has also basically skin. It is epithelial tissue. Now, if you have an infection and you have a battle going on in your small intestine and your body can't keep up with the destruction, you end up with irritable bowel syndrome. Because even though your cells are being replaced every 2 to 5 days, those bacteria are now growing wild because you don't have the enzymes as a result of that bacteria destroying the cells that make the enzymes. So you're at a disadvantage. In turn, you're exacerbating the situation. You're still eating those same foods, which we're going to get into later. Those foods are feeding those pathogenic bacteria. It becomes a repetitive merry-go-round, and you have to learn how to end it and solve it and give your body a chance to rebuild, repair, and reconstruct your brush border. You basically know it. We're going to go into more details, but I wanted to give you an understanding. And I'm going to talk about this autoimmune situation, how you can correct it in later videos. So start looking for A105 because I don't want to belabor the point. But trust me, spend the time and learn because you will spend the time on your car. You love your car. Anything that goes wrong with it, whatever the mechanic tells you, you're going to do it. Because that car is not just transportation. You have a love affair with your car because you're an American. How about start with your body? Understand your body the same way you understand your car. Trust me, you'll get better. It's all common sense based on knowledge, science, research, and proven theory. See you for A105. You're going to learn more and you're going to love it. And you're going to get better and get cured. Have a great day. See you for A105.